Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Fireside Chat. And I'm super excited and happy that today we have a mentor to a lot many people, including me, and a practitioner who has seen both the worlds. Somebody who has spent considerable years with Tata Group, pass out of Excel, and right now he is also an entrepreneur, investor, a leadership advisor, and playing multiple hats. There cannot be any better person to talk about today's theme than Varda. And Varda, welcome to this session. And here we will have three or four straight questions, and the format is we would expect you to be blunt and brutally honest. And with that,
Sure.
Varda, my first question to you on today's theme, which is gig economy, is what do you think? Because you have seen both the worlds, you have employed gig workers in the past, and today you are taking up multiple gig assignments. So you have seen both the worlds. What are some of the key challenges related to employing gig, specifically gig workers in India? What's your point of view around that?
Anil, thanks. This subject is very close to my heart because I am a gig worker myself. Started employing gigs. One of the things which I found as difficult as an employer was what the legal framework allowed me to do. There's a classification of permanent worker, temporary worker, contract worker. I can't call this a contract worker. But I was confused whether contract regulations will apply or what will happen if I employ him or her. Will I have to cover them under ESI? How to manage? We have this strange permanency provisions. If a person works for 180 days, you have permanent. He can demand permanency. This is one area where there was a lot of challenge in my mind of how to fit worker into the legal framework which is available to me. And while it was easy for me to use gig economy to scale up and scale down designated rate, one of the things which came as a challenge was how will the people-related policies and processes that manage, how will it be different for the gigs compared to the regular employees? Because what happens is, you always have the fear of permanency and say, how will I ensure and differentiate and keep an arm's length relationship, if you know what I'm saying. And how do you create people practices which are equally agile for a gig worker and can be up and down? So to that extent, I call it the HR agility or the business agility was a challenge. And the next thing which came up when I was going through gigs is what sort of roles can be given to them? Is it a very strategic role? Is it an operational role? Is it an transactional role? A lot of thought needs to go into getting what sort of role and also ensuring good quality of gigs to be hired. So where do you go and get gigs? Because if you look at it, we can go to a consultant for people or a headhunter for people or advertise for people. There was a little of confusion and a challenge to get the right resource as a gig. The other thing which came to mind and I thought was a challenge for employers was how will the manager control the output of the gig? What is the methodology by which the output is controlled? Because if you look at it, in the traditional employer relationship, there is a set rules and there's a set of regulations, and the person will have to do something in a given time. A person manager constantly pulls up people. Was this possible in gigs? Because gigs many times were much more senior sometimes the manager himself or herself, because we're getting professionals to act as gigs. So that is another area where we found that it was how difficult it is. Other thing is gig worker by the terminology works for multiple people. What happens if this gig person is working for a competition and for maybe a different project, but how do you manage the segregation between these two? So managing a gig, managing the performance of a gig was becoming, and I think still a challenge without a carrot and stick approach is them. The biggest one is how do you create the team cohesion between permanent employees and the gig employees? How do you ensure that there is a collaboration which happens because there are two different sets of people. Gigs know they're going to be for a short time, but permanent guys know they're also going to be there only for a short time. So how do you create this and how do you create the culture fit into the organization? How do you create the culture for the gig? How do you ensure that the gigs carry the values of the organization? And how do you ensure that the gig lives the culture of the organization? So this is something which is a challenge of commitment of how do you manage that. Also, I think now we are able to see a lot of technology which is coming out to support gig worker, but that is something which was not available earlier, but now slowly coming into being so that you can collaborate and communicate. So these are broadly the challenges I saw from being an employer as a gig person, and that's how I saw it.
Fantastic. I think, as practitioners, I could not agree more to your point, Vardha, that, typically there are big challenges in back of our mind. The major concerns are about data confidentiality, about culture assimilation, and plenty of other issues. But, that is my second question. What do you think? Which are the steps, as an organization we need to take before we actually, employ any of those gig workers as a precautionary measure?
Look, gig is a future. If I look at it, the way organizations learn to manage gigs effectively will ultimately act as a source of competitive advantage for the organization. Yeah. So, if I look at it, the gig economy, it fundamentally changes three major nature of work. One is the work itself. Okay, the person is going to work only on a particular project and move off. So, the work itself is who does the work. It's not a permanent employee. It's someone who you employ on a project basis, or even where the work will be done. So these fundamental dimensions of change in the nature of work is what is going to affect the organization, and the organizations will need to take steps to manage this. We need to create flexible models in our organization, both as an organization as a whole, and scale up and down quickly and be agile to changing needs of environment, because that is what will attract the gigs to you. We need to learn the art of breaking down a large piece of work into small, meaningful gig projects. We are used to this. In work study evaluation, we always break up work into meaningful ways for measurement. The same principle of breaking down a work into smaller gigs, and then how do you aggregate the gigs into a meaningful whole, coming back together? I think very important for us, because this is what will create an important gigs to find value in what they do. All of us are very stuck to JDs, job descriptions, we hire based on job description. If you to work as a job description, he could go and work full time. Why does he have to come and do a gig job for you? So move away from JD based hiring into a delivery based model. What is the outcome you expect from the gig? And what is the project outcome? Change we have to make as an organization, as an HR person. Also, we need to provide flexibility. You can't ensure that the person comes 9 to 5 and you have to work as a regular employee. You need to provide the project. This is the outcome expected. This is the delivery expected. You do it the way you want. If you want the gig to be available to interact with the permanent employee at a particular time, fix it up in advance so that there is no confusion or confusion in when the person needs to come. And remember, gig is a very passion-driven economy. And if you have to do that, you have to align projects with what the gig's interest is and what the gig's learning aspirations are. If the gig doesn't have the interest, it's no meaning to include the person. So how do you create the roles to create the interest for the gig? And creating organizational processes and guidelines to suit the gig. Not be very rigid about your policies and process towards employees. We need to look at best-in-class technology to ensure we provide seamless experience across permanent workers and gig workers, and also through this create that security, information security, which is so vital. And as you rightly said, data security are all worried about. So how do you create that? I think the last but not the least, inclusion is the key. I found that when a gig worker comes in, the manager says, don't share this, don't share that information to the gig. This is very close and confidential. He is part of you or she is part of you. And they have to be successful in what they do. If you don't share information, how will they be able to perform? How will they be able to achieve what you want them to achieve? So information sharing is critical. Creating belongingness is critical. The other thing we need to be very cautious about is being a gig worker, don't discriminate. It may lead to social isolation of the gig, where the person feels left out from what you're doing as an organization. And there is a tendency, you would have seen it working from home, a lot of us overwork rather than what we were working earlier. So overwork is another thing which we need to be cautious about. These are some of the organization needs to do to ensure they have a very successful gig program in their organization.
Sure. Very well said, Vardha. Now, the follow-up question to that is, you already touched upon this subject of, not treating them different. So my question is, even in countries like India, definitely there is a social stigma. People tend to compare somebody who is a full-time employee versus somebody who is a gig worker. Now, how do you look at the future of gig economy in India in such circumstances?
Look, I can share experience. When I decided to do something on my own and I said I want to do multiple projects which are of interest to me rather than organization. So whatever experience I got from corporate, I said I can make it use for others. I have a few people in my family, what? You left Tata role? You're going to be doing some projects? Are you mad? Is what they've asked. That's the family. Some friends asked me, saying, my professional colleagues, saying, why do you want to leave a good job which you are earning so much of money and had such amount of, bhav as they call it? I said, at the end of the day, when a person moves out of role, it's his personality or his professional capability which will talk volumes rather than the position he held. And so to that extent, I can see that a lot of adjustment needs to happen to the gig worker. Look, if you look at it, for sure, gig workforce is becoming entrenched into the organizations. It's going to be a key contributor. You have seen the pandemic and the working models arising out of this, which is work from home, is accelerating the growth of gig workforce. Because earlier, when you were saying give this to someone who's going to be sitting miles away from you, now things have changed. Overnight things change and they can do it from home. So why? What is happening is there is a need to improve. Why is gig economy going to surely go ahead? Because all of us need to improve our operational competitiveness. If we have to do that, we need availability of expertise in areas. It's foolish for companies to go and hire a person for a project which is only 4 months and have that as a permanent employee, because after 4 months you do them. So availability of expertise for short durance will be a great help, and that is what is going to project the gig economy. Next, to help the future of gig economy is the cost flexibility. All of us keep saying in management, make fixed costs low, make it more variable. We could not make that variable on the people side for so long. But now this is an opportunity, gig is an opportunity by which you are able to make cost more variable and manageable. And next one is, how do you build agility and flexibility in the way of working? Look, if you know it and I know it, Anil, that long-term commitments from employees are waning. People want to move very fast for career mobility and improve and grow. And we have to satisfy that interest, which is the gig economy plays a role. The person comes, satisfies himself with a great project, moves on to another project and does another project. He may come back to the company for a different project if he likes or she likes it. And also, most of the organizations have been struggling on the diversity and inclusion front. They didn't know how to promote it. But by force, this will improve productivity, output and diversity in the organization, because you can get diverse set of people into the organization which you never dreamt of taking as employees. And I know that more the diversity, more is the productivity and better the output. And this model will also satisfy the freedom of choice of the millennials and this, Gen Z. Because if you look at it, they want to have a clear work-life integration. I'm an old-timer. I didn't have much of work-life integration. So I used to be called a workaholic. And then my family life was only during my vacation. But these people are looking at it differently. They want work-life integration, and that is this gig will help them do that. And I think the biggest benefit of gig economy, why it is going to benefit in the future, is reduced workplace stress and how it will improve my mental well-being. We have been talking about well-being in the work from home model, how it will create a well-being. This is going to be able to help them manage the stress and create a more society with lot more mental well-being and mental peace, is my opinion.
Great. So that is super reassuring to know that a gig is going to be big in the future. And well said, Vardha. When does one decide to take that plunge, that leap of faith, that, hey, I'm ready right now, I've had enough, let me get into some sort of a gig economy, and as you rightly said, that will give me plenty of flexibility. With your experience, what do you think? When should we decide whether we are ready or not?
Look, there are 2-3 things which makes you take the call. One is, many times the family interests and what you owe the family will come the way of deciding whether you want to be a gig or not.
Sure.
Because you are getting a steady monthly salary, you are taken care of. So you have children who are studying and you have to educate them. That is one part. Okay. The other part is, you have engaged in a career where you believe that you have done a lot of work and you are proud of what you have achieved, and you believe that you are doing the same thing over again now. Okay. There is a loss of interest in what you are doing. That's the second stage. The third stage is looking around saying, do I want to do it after 60 when I may not have the energy to do it, or do I now because I have all the energy? So these are the factors which make you realize. For example, when I quit and I said I want to do something on my own, for 3 to 4 months I didn't do anything. I only renewed myself because I was working in startups all my life, and as a result, you didn't have time to renew yourself. So I think that is something which a gig worker needs to constantly do, renew yourself and think about that way. And that is how I became a gig worker. And I am really enjoying it. Sometimes I feel, Anil, why didn't I do this 10 years earlier?
Sure. And that brings me to the last question, and I promise you this would be my last question to you, Vardha. Now, is there something, because
it's been an interesting question,
you have seen both the worlds, is there something that you miss about not being a full-time employee, or in other words, you absolutely don't like about gig assignments?
The advantage you have in a gig assignment is you choose what you want to do. Okay?
Oh.
You don't take assignments just like because it comes to you. So I take a lot of time, just like I used to take a lot of time in taking an employee onto the roles of the company to ensure that it fits the interest and culture of the organization, or the job fit as you call it. I take a lot of time to pick up and choose my gig assignments. So to that extent, I don't have much of an issue in dropping gig assignment because it's of interest area to me. But it does happen sometimes that organization is not ready. Even though they have said, I have given you a gig assignment, they are not ready with what they need to provide for the gig person to be successful. So that is the area where education to the organization, thanks to my gray hair, to command that respect, to help them and guide them to say, this is what you need to do. If you need time, if you need to get something beneficial out of it, this is how you need to do it. So that is something which happens. It does happen. There was an assignment where it didn't go well. The organization didn't have the sufficient background. They were not ready for it. We cut it out, ready now, let's do it later. So you are able to talk to them and come back, and now they are very good friends of mine and they want me to come back when they are ready for it. So to that extent, it's it's typical, like when you choose an employee, or our company is going to choose you for what you bring to the table and what your expertise is.
Yeah, true. Fantastic, Vardha. Plenty of takeaways for me on the theme gig economy and the future. And I'm sure all my viewers would also love this conversation and will definitely have few takeaways.
Anil, I love this conversation because it's a great thing to talk about and educate people, also share the experiences. You're doing a great job with Dr. HR. All the best to that. And I think one thing we all need to do is that is it possible for every industry and associations and professional bodies to promote the economy and see whether we can lobby to bring in some regulation to help the gig economy grow. So that's something we need to do as professional, because many a times you find that legislation doesn't help a gig economy worker at this point of time. Be it social security, be it employment rights and all that. So I think that is a section in which you can take it up with the professional associations.
Absolutely. I think there is a merit in taking this up. And I'm sure that all the practicing HR professionals can definitely add value to this entire gig economy. Thank you, Vardha. Thoroughly enjoyed our interaction.
Thank you, Anil.
Much appreciated.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank
Wonderful to be part of this.
Thank you, Vardha. You take care.